Saturday. Welcome to the Paradigm Shift, episode 119. 119 weeks in a row, 0 weeks off. Consistency, that maniacal drive, commitment, all superpowers, and get this, they're accessible to all of you. We have a very special guest on today. I can't wait to bring on Jimmy Rex. This is going to be a ton of energy, awesome vibes, and deep nuggets, which is my personal favorite. Jimmy, I see you, brother. We're going to bring you on less than five. Right out the gate, though, we're going to bring on Big Dave, my partner in crime, the sex goose. Everybody let us know in the chats how you're feeling right now. It's very important that we have you flying 10 out of 10 by the end of this conversation. You dig? Can't wait for you guys to see Jimmy.
What's up?
There he is.
What's up? What's going on?
So much better in person, I got to tell you, but we'll take this for now.
Oh, I love your haircut, by the way.
You do?
Yes, I do.
Thank you, Dave. Does it look different?
It's like the reverse of mine.
How you doing?
I'm fantastic, man. I had an amazing month this week. The amount of productivity, accessibility, and gratitude I have every single week is even shocking to me. I don't want to limit my own self-image, but holy the moly, was it a fantastic week. And yes, you are much better in person.
Yeah, and Toronto was spectacular, in a word. Never been there. Great event. Awesome to spend some quality time with you. And I got to say, for the audience and the community listening today, as Dave continues to travel, he now has these VIP dinners in each city. And if you can get to one, you absolutely should. There's a ton of value and great connections at these things.
Yeah, I mean, I guarantee them, right? So there's the who's who, there's a vibration and a frequency. There's no one out of all of them that we've done that has ever come to me except for with, hey, when's the next one? So we're going to be doing, and when I get back from Italy, we'll be in Orange County with all of the filming of the 2-minute drill, the who's who, the Hermosis, the Sadhguru. We've got ridiculous people. If season 5 we're filming, and it's right there at South Coast Plaza at our movie and TV studio that we partnered with. And the next day when we're done filming, we'll be at SoFi. So we got dinners and filming, and that's our next agenda. Then it's Chicago and Indy, St. Louis. We're all over the place as usual, but man, whatever you can make, it's worth it.
100%. I can personally vouch. I wanted to ask you, Dave, spending a lot of time with you, as I love to on the road and so forth. And I was talking a little bit to some of your team as well, and you had a lot of them out there, which is pretty cool, pretty special. You travel like a maniac, and yet you're the most organized and strategic cat I know, and you're always on time. I'm just curious, because some people travel once in a while and they're shot for like a week. How do you maintain such a strict regimen and schedule, even though you're traveling all the time, and you may not be getting some of the good night's sleeps that you might have hoped for?
Well, first of all, that's really important because everybody will mention sleep. But incorporation of sleep is light and diet and a variety of other things. So I have a sleep coach who's also really my travel coach. And so that's the first thing. And then secondly, I talk about, and most people, they're at the very, very, very surface. Most of my coaching clients are at the very, very, very surface, and they're lying to themselves about being students of the calendar. And I know that by what they say when they're like, well, I looked at this or whatever. But if you really want to study, if you want to pay attention and give intention to time in a lens of productivity, accessibility, and gratitude, if you study activity that you have planned, you don't have planned, and your sleep, if you categorize it with activity you get paid for and don't get paid for every single day, living in the empty mile, the exponentiality, the acceleration, the aggregation of that productivity, accessibility, and gratitude is extraordinary. And then people will point out that you can, like I said, I had a great month this week. I had a great month revenue-wise this week. I had a great month relationship-wise this week. I had a great month content-wise this week. I had a great month, family time this week. So I think understanding and studying the calendar and having a sleep coach are probably the two primary reasons that I utilize time differently and more effectively than most people on earth.
Yeah, I love it all. And I love that you have a sleep coach, right? Because, of course you do. Because you're always looking to optimize every single thing that you do. and you have a strategy when you're on the road, and I love it.
Yeah. And I will tell you this, not only do you sleep a third of your life, but most people don't pay attention to sleep. So if you consider what will create the biggest affect and effect on your life, having a sleep coach creates the greatest affect and effect on your life.
Love it. You really are a sex goose. It's
Thank
unbelievable.
you, man. It was great to see you.
Great to see you always. I'm
Onk,
gonna bring on, huh?
onk, onk. That's the sex goose call.
I love it. I love it. We're gonna bring on Juggernaut Jimmy Rex, but while I do,
Juggernaut Jimmy
I always
Rex.
love to ask you a quick question in the meantime, and I just wanted to ask you this because I'm sure a lot of people can relate. What is your mindset, Dave? Your mindset when you face adversity or life doesn't go typically as you might have hoped or as planned?
Well, it rarely goes as I plan, but it always goes as I hope. And that's because I have gratitude to the future. And gratitude of the future is faith. And I have faith that all my plans will come out better as I am protected and promoted. I am just too ignorant to know. That's the fact. So my strategy or mindset about when things don't go as planned is thank God. I just don't know what I don't know. What am I supposed to learn from it? Taking gratitude, forgiveness, and accountability into consideration to be promoted and protected by whatever the outcomes are, because I don't attach my emotions to the outcome. I attach my emotions today to be ferocious, and I'll be a Buddha about tomorrow.
And I am now the third most handsome cat on this IG Live. What's up, Jimmy? Thank you for joining.
What's
The
up, man? It's good
juggernaut,
to see
Jimmy
you.
Rex.
How you doing, brother?
Good to see you guys. I'm doing great, man.
Yeah,
Thanks
it's
for
great
joining.
too. And for any of my community or Dave's that might not have been familiar, our best suggestion: do a deep dive, follow Jimmy, check out all the cool stuff he's got going on. What I think is most valuable today is we just have a dynamite conversation. I'm going to dive right in right now, and I got to ask you, brother, what's up with this epic fireworks show that you're about to put on? Tell me more.
Yeah, dude, when I was a little kid, my favorite day of the year was 4th of July. My dad threw a couple big fireworks shows. And I remember being a little kid and thinking, when I'm older, I'm going to throw the biggest fireworks show ever. And so about 15 years ago, when I started in real estate, I just went and I just totally splurged on fireworks. And, the first time I ever did this show, I had about 50 people show up. And it competed with the city shows for sure. And so every year, people would invite their friends, and it doubled every year in size. In the last 7 or 8 years, we've had probably 5,000 people show up, and so the city started making me get permits, and I used to just light them all myself. We just showed up at the park and freaking went crazy, but we had thousands of people. They're like, "What the heck?" And so anyway, long story short, I do it every year, and we always have to jump through hoops, man. The city can be quite fun to work with, but we got them all done, and yeah, we'll expect at least 5,000 people tomorrow or Monday night in my home city.
Love it.
Yeah.
Dave, you ever been to a party like that?
In our neighborhood, but they're not as courageous as Jimmy to do that. And I think I'm always looking for lessons, Jimmy. And there's two things that come to mind that everyone can take away from this extraordinary experience that you're creating for yourself and others. Is one, there's certain things that we think about when we're little, right? Like I wanted to be rich to buy my mom a house. One of those things that is not nearly as grand, but in my life was significant was if I ever got to go to Disneyland, living here in Southern California as a poor kid, that was about it. Like we were the family that packed their lunch, when you go to Disneyland because we could not afford the stores or the food, so I was like, man, someday, right, I'm gonna go to Disneyland, buy whatever I want. I forgot about it until literally last year, and my kids were like, Dad, take us to Disneyland. And, three of my kids are older. One at the time was only 12. And I didn't tell them, but when we got in, I said, here's what we're going to do. Anything you want, food wise, just you could have a bite, throw the shit away. I don't care, but this is my dream. I'm going to do it. So you guys join in with me. And it was the best Disneyland experience I've ever had. I probably did about 5,000 calories, threw away about 15,000 calories. But the other side of the lesson, because I think it's important to fulfill those dreams when we're kids, but the other side of the lesson is way more valuable, and it's community building. Yeah. We talk about our essence is how you build a community, and here you are, just your essence your pure essence of, hey, let's have some fun and throw up some fireworks because I loved it when I was a kid and I want to share it with my friends. And then 2 turned to 4, 4 turned to 8, 8 turned to 5,000. Unfortunately, we got to get the police involved and the city park permits involved. And so hopefully you got some sponsors involved now too to pay for this mess.
Yeah, I do. I got a couple, like Oasis Water and my lender, Trillion Mortgage. I pay about 1/8 of the total cost of the event at this point. So, you know,
Amazing.
I got all sorts of people helping pay for it. Yeah,
But you
and
go
you know, it's
between.
funny because we'll like, there's kids. I do an event once a month. So for Easter, I have a helicopter come, drops Easter eggs on everybody. You know, I do one for each holiday. And the thing is, I rent out the water park. There's kids all over my community, a lot of single moms or just people that couldn't afford to have these experiences. And every holiday of their life, they've had these epic moments because, you know, I'm trying to make the 12-year-old version of me proud. But it's cool. Like I had a mom came up to me last year and she had her little boy with me and she's like, tell him what you said. And I was like, what'd you say, bud? And he's just like, I said, I just want to be Jimmy Rex when I'm older. And it was like, I know it sounds so stupid, but like
Oh,
that to me is bigger than like that little kid, like that, because he was an avatar for me, right? And so I'm being able to provide this experience and we go all out too. I mean, it's pretty crazy, but it's just, that's for me, that's the gift. And it makes it all worth it. Cause it is a lot of work and it's, you know, 100 man hours have gone into this event, but it's all worth it because these little kids get these experiences that they'll remember for the rest of their lives.
and wait till you're my age and that little kid is your age and they're telling you, hey Jimmy, you know, I'm doing this, you know, I live in South Carolina and there's 1,000 kids that come that I donate all this to, and I would have never even thought of it but for the most valuable or funnest time I've ever had was at your events when I was a kid, and so I wanted to pay it forward. And you'll see it'll be the best experience. I have a saying, right? Be kind to your future self. Your fireworks shows, your Easter egg drops are an epitome of being kind to your future self. I promise you, there'll be 100 Jimmy Rexes out there doing 1,000 different things.
Yeah, that's what's fun. You know, during the pandemic, we did the $100 dinner club where me and 30 to 50 friends would go to a restaurant one night. We'd all leave $100 tip, each of us. So it'd be a $3,000 to $30,000 tip we left as big as. And what the coolest part was not the events I was at. I kept getting tagged in these videos all over the country, and it got to Germany and Colombia and Mexico and all these places. And it was like waitresses. And, you know, I'd wake up and some waitress in Kentucky just got a $4,000 tip because I had this stupid idea to start this trend, or this beautiful idea, right? And those were the most rewarding ones, honestly. It was like this, it was reverberating effect. And it was hundreds of these events kept going on all over the country for over a year. So Amber Lee, good to see you, by the way. But anyway, and so I feel you on that. And that was the most rewarding part for me, was because something that just because of an idea I had a few months earlier, this random person who's probably going through hell in life got this huge blessing. And that's the fun stuff for sure.
That's amazing.
I love it. And Dave, I love how you mentioned the word community there. What you're doing is accomplishing so many things at one shot. I love it all, Jimmy. There's so many places we can take this conversation, but I want to make the most of my time. I'll have a really deep question for you that we'll land the plane with. But before that, one of the cool things that you do is you have the We Are Today movement. And I think that's pretty badass. And I'd love for you to tell us a little bit what that is for the community that might not be familiar.
Yeah. So a couple of years ago, you know, I'd been a top real estate agent in my state and in the country for years and years, almost 15 years. And I just decided I want to do something a little bit more with my life. And so through a lot of hard work and figuring it out, I came up with this coaching program for men called We Are the They. And it's a program helping men be vulnerable, authentic, and in integrity. And it's basically a coaching program that I do. And, you know, the name of it, We Are the They, I'll tell that story real quick because I want to plug something real quick. I had the chance to work with a group called Operation Underground Railroad. They go undercover and help rescue kids that are being sex trafficked all over the world. And I worked with a guy named Tim Ballard who founded that. The reason I mention it right now, and I'm going to tell the story of We Are the They, but they have a movie coming out on July 4th next week called The Sound of Freedom, which is the story of Tim and this organization I got to work with. So like, I keep this on my, we would go undercover and help rescue kids being sex trafficked. And this is a plaque I got with me and Tim and some federales down in Mexico, some of the money we used to rescue these kids. But long story short, so if you're going in on the July 4th, go see the movie. But I was coming back from one of the ops, and we just had this rescue where, you know, we took down these bad guys and really evil dudes. And was able to rescue, I think, 18, 19 girls. And on the way home, I was telling my girlfriend about it, and I was all excited telling the story, but it was pretty scary. This was probably our most dangerous op we did. And she pulled over and she's like, hey, you know what? I don't think I want you guys to do this anymore. It's, you know, and I was like, what are you talking about? Did you not just hear what I said? We had this rescue. She's like, no, but you know, it's a bad environment and it's dangerous. And why can't somebody else just go do it? And I was like, what are you talking about? She goes, well, why can't just have them go do it? And I was like, I said, well, no, there is no they. Like, we are the they. And when I said that, I was just like, oh shit. Like, because too often in life, we want somebody else to take, you know, we see a problem, we want somebody to do something about it. But ultimately, that became my life motto. And that's the name of the group now, because it's like, we don't wait for other people to step up. We can make that difference. And so that's where it comes from. But yeah, you know, it's, for me, it's been the gift of my life. I mean, I got 300 guys now. We do a lot of crazy stuff. I'm taking 70 guys next Wednesday, 2 days after my firework event. I'm taking 70 guys. We're going to Spain to run with the bulls for a week. And so we just do crazy fun stuff, really push past our comfort zone and do all these different things. And, you know, everything that we want really is on the other side of fear, and people get stuck in life. And that's what I had people kept reaching out to me for, is I want community. I want to meet friends like you have. And I feel like I'm stuck in life. And so I was like, well, geez, I know how to do that. And so that's what I built, basically, was a community and a tribe for people to work together.
I love that. And Dave, before you chime in, I just want to say, I was checking out your content, which I suggest everybody do, Jimmy. And I saw you say this stat, and it didn't surprise me, but I'm curious as to why you think it is, that a much bigger percentage of men actually feel more alone very often as opposed to women. And I think a lot of men don't have the space necessarily to speak up and to find that community. It's one of the many things that you're doing that I think is so beautiful. But why is that such a bigger percentage of men feel so alone compared to women, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, women will talk to each other, right? They share their feelings, they share what's going on. Like with men, it's like, you don't want to talk to your woman, she's going to think you're weak. You don't want to talk to your buddies, they're going to tease you and make it even worse. That's been, historically, that's kind of how it's been. And, you know, guys just have to keep stuff in. And so because of that, they think they suffer in silence. They go through this alone. They think they're the only ones that are dealing with these issues. So what I do with this, the first weekend we all get together, is I really break that container open and just allow them to see that they're not going through these things alone. And we create an environment that I get vulnerable. I have a few other people get vulnerable. And all of a sudden they're like, oh my gosh, yes, I've been wanting to talk about these issues. Nobody's talking about this. And so I just, on my podcast, the Jimmy Rex Show, I just launched, I'm going to do once a week or once every other week, an episode called Real Men, Real Conversations, where we talk about some of this stuff. Because I'm getting a front row ticket to, you know, these issues that men are going with. I mean, I have guys that have been holding on to secrets their whole life, and they've never been able to tell anybody, and they think they're the worst person. They think they're, you know, awful humans for these things that have happened. And most of the time it's something pretty minor. But here's the crazy part, is they don't allow themselves to feel loved, because every time somebody celebrates them or tries to love them, they think to themselves, well, if they knew who I really was, they wouldn't love me. And so they can't let that in. And so by exposing it and actually just letting themselves be seen by whoever, you know, their loved ones or their wife or whoever it might be, and then they see that they're still loved, and they're like, oh my gosh, and then they can trust the love they're getting, because they know it's who they truly are. And so what I encourage people to do is to be vulnerable, authentic, and in integrity, and by doing so, you can trust the love that you get.
Is Jimmy a stud or what?
That's a guarantee. Obviously, the results speak for themselves. And I mean, it's interesting, as the oldest one here, how vulnerability has changed. And especially as personal brands and communities change, that the most common compliment that I receive is kind of counterintuitive, that people will tell me how courageous I am because I'm vulnerable. And that is a paradigm shift, no pun intended there, Craigie Poo, to think that when I talk about losing over 100 million and going bankrupt, when I talk about being sexually abused, which 1 in 4 men are abused.
20 guys in my program have, you know, come out and talked about it for the first time ever, you know, with some.
And you know, people like Sugar Ray Leonard, who helped me through even talking to myself about it, because there was so many years of denial. But I thought, Jimmy, you know, what resonated most with me was the more successful I got, the more, this is exactly where my worthiness and imposter syndrome that caused me to lose everything, because I didn't feel worthy, because I felt like a liar, a cheater, manipulator, overseller, back-end seller my entire life, because I had these hidden secrets about human nature and about you know, being a victim and all these things that I had to at 50 go to therapy for. And but I know by liberating myself, it liberates others to feel comfortable. At least you don't have to be public about it
No,
like I am.
it's not for everybody, but it's the people in your life. There has to be a safe container, whether you join a group like mine or it's with your family and close friends. Like, but you need a safe container to be vulnerable. This isn't just go on Instagram and tell everybody your shit.
Yeah,
Kind of thing.
exactly. And you provide that safe environment. And I want to encourage everyone. And I love we are the they. I have an accountability type of mantra of my own that makes sure that I'm participating in the they part. That you know, like simple things. Someone asked me the other day, "How do you think we can change the world in the simplest way?" I said, besides saying thank you, if everyone in the world picked up a piece of trash every time they saw it and put it where it belonged, do you know the impact it would have on the world? And that is a really simple way to change the world. We are the they, you be the they. Go ahead, pick your they and stand up and make a difference. It's really important because it'll aggregate, compound, and exponentially grow as it has for the juggernaut. Jimmy Rex, man, what a pleasure it been to meet you and join the paradigm shift with Craig and I.
No, thanks, guys. Yeah, no, it's awesome. I want people to, you know, I had so many people that were suffering in silence, and it's just the end of the day, if we can create an atmosphere for them, a container for them to just be safe. And it's not even the men in my group. It's then that goes out to all their families and everybody they're working with. And, you know, it's with some of my guys say that they're little kids, you know. One of the guys, he said, his little boy said to him, he said, "You've been so much nicer to me lately. Thank you, Dad." You know, like that's everything, like just the little parts of that. So yeah, thanks, Dave. I appreciate that.
Yeah, Dave, 1 minute for one final nugget.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'll land the plane. Jimmy, I love what you said earlier, brother, specifically that you were making a ton of money, having a lot of success in real estate and so forth. But at some point you realized that you wanted something more, maybe something bigger. I could totally relate from that, from reinventing myself in the pandemic from Wall Street to what I'm doing now. And the irony is, and I know Dave speaks about this, is probably end up making more money doing this than you were doing that because it's a byproduct and an energetic exchange from adding value. But I know there's a lot of people out there right now that hear this like, oh, that sounds great, but I don't know what my purpose is, or I don't know what that next thing is for me. How would you suggest for someone to kind of lean in and identify what that might be their purpose could be?
Yeah. I mean, you got to spend time on it, right? Like when I lost my faith from my childhood, I was kind of lost. I didn't know what my purpose for my life was going to be. And I went to Tony Robbins' Date with Destiny. I spent 7 days working on it. And I came up with a purpose that's been my driving force ever since. It's been 7 years. I read it every single day. It's the purpose of my life is to share my tremendous love with all of God's children, bringing happiness to others through my playful soul, and by being an example of living an extraordinary life. And that guides every decision I make. And so if you haven't spent the time on it, Lewis Howes just came out with a new book that is awesome for finding your purpose. It's called The Greatness Mindset. It's the best book I've ever seen on it. And so I highly recommend picking that up. No, it's just not that, you know, I just literally it's really good. It's the book I always have wanted to tell people to go find, but it didn't exist. And so that's what I would recommend. But you got to just spend time on it, man. Like I'm actually headed to a cabin today. Check this out. So I'm trying to figure out a few things in a different area of my life. I rented a cabin. I'm leaving my phone here. I'm going up for 48 hours by myself, and I'm just going to sit there and let what comes up come up. Like I'm going to go into nature. Like you've got to spend time on these things. These things don't just come to you when you're busy and you got your phone, you got life happening. You got to find solace and silence because that's where the secrets of the universe are going to explain themselves.
The perfect. That's like kind of be full circle from when I asked you at the beginning of the conversation when you travel and you set the intention to put this in your calendar to connect and block out the interference. I love that.
Yeah, well, it's amazing when you love what you do, it'll tell you all its secrets. And, you know, I've met people in varying degrees. Personally, I take Zen hours every day. I believe 2 minutes a day is worth 2 hours on a Saturday. I know some other extraordinary people that the last day of the month, they take a Zen day, like you're doing, Jimmy, today and tomorrow, where they reflect on the previous month and prepare for the future month. And whatever it is, the mechanism is to give yourself congruent with your own body, mind, and soul, that idea of information to download from the universe, that which you can utilize to pursue your potential, not what other people want for you, not what's missing, not what you don't want. For me, it's a daily practice. For others, it is a variant degree of time, but I highly encourage everyone to understand that there's ease and dis-ease, and we got to make sure that we are identifying the dis-ease and taking time to be at ease to reach our full potential. I love your mission, Jimmy. I love what you're doing. Aligned with my own mission, stated differently, is making a lot of money to live in abundance, to help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. If you mirror our two mission statements, they have the exact same why, just articulated in a different manner, which is why I love having three people on the show, love doing these things, because the more we reinforce the ideas and articulate them differently, it's going to resonate with different people. And in the end, we'll create a collective consciousness of abundance. You are exemplary of that. You are meeting your mission and going beyond better of that. And you're leading Craig and I with some great ideas. So thank you. We'd love to do some content with you as well on my side. So we'll have our teams reach out. And Craig, always thank you, man. Enjoy New York.
Yes. Love you both. Jimmy, we'll do some more things to connect. Thank you both.
Thanks, guys. Much love. Thanks for everybody that jumped on. Have a happy Saturday.
Happy. Hey, 4th of July, man. Blow up the sky, baby.
Will do.
Take care.
Bye. Fantastic episode. Paradigm Shift episode 119 in the books. If you guys weren't familiar with Jimmy's work, you should obviously go take a glance immediately. He's got some awesome content. He's doing some great things. I think he's a pretty special cat. We'll be back next week for the Paradigm Shift episode 120. My goodness. I can't stress enough for anyone listening right now. Consistency, being committed. Those are superpowers, and they're accessible to everybody. The reinvention formula. We just announced, not publicly, but within the community, that we're doing a huge book signing at the Grove in LA, and we're also doing CLS LA, hashtag CLS LA. We're doing a live event August 19th. You can hit me up for details. It's not open to the public. It's exclusive, invite only. Some of the biggest people on the planet are going to be there in LA August 19th. We can't wait. We want to celebrate the book. And the reinvention formula symbolizes how to identify your purpose and lean into that, just like these boys were talking about. Thank you, Big Dave, as always. Thank you, Jimmy. Fantastic dialogue, fantastic conversations, guys. If you're not already in the texting community, text number at the bottom of the screen, 917-634-3796. And we're giving out a free how to build a personal brand worksheet. Probably costs $5,000. We're giving it to you for free. Love you guys. Have a safe holiday. Do some great stuff. Set yourself up. It's the second half of the year now as we enter Q3. Let's dominate. Let's have a lot of fun. Let's give back. Let's be kind. Let's make a lot of money. And let's lean into our purpose. Love you guys. Have a great Saturday.